Hey everybody, welcome back. David Eon here and the lovely Miss Lady Pop Hunter, although she is behind the camera, so you can't see her. I'm the one privileged to look at LPH today. Sorry folks. So what we're doing here is I'm going to tell you some stories. So get your warm milk and cookies. It's bedtime, ladies and gentlemen. No, but really, I'm going to tell you some stories. I had an idea where it occurs to me, everybody who collects, whether it's comic books, toys, action figures, vinyl records, they got some pieces in their collection that they've got a story. There's something they can tell you about it. And I thought it would be interesting to share a handful of my stories, but also challenge people. Tell me some of yours. So I don't know if anybody's ever done this one before, because people throw challenges out there. I don't know if anyone's done the tell the story about your collection challenge. So I'm starting it. Please do try it yourself. Use the hashtags that I'll put on the end of the description or on the end of the title here. And do cite me. Hey, check out Open by Chance. Share your stories. Put your videos in the description box, or not the description box, but the comment section down below. Let people see your links so that they can share it too. And I'll call a few people out. I would suggest, just as a round number, maybe you got 5 items. Doesn't have to be 5. Maybe you got 2. Maybe you got 10. But I'm suggesting 5 items and try to call out 5 people. And I'll call out 5 people right now. Let's see. Toy Chic, are you watching? I know you got some stories.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, hey, Mark. You got to have some stories. You got to have a couple of pieces of stories. How about MIB Master Toy Museum?
Know he got a story.
You got to have some pieces with some stories. How about Pixel Dan? Why not? Pixel Dan was here. Do you have some things in your collection you could tell a story about? I'd love to hear it. Motu Joe. I know Motu's got to have some stories. How about that? Who else? Pop Fun to Play. He's got a few channels because he's got Pop Walks and Pop Comics. Pop Fun to Play. Would you like to try this? Lou from Migo Like. Do you have some stories? Did I go over 5? It doesn't matter.
David Alexander.
Oh yeah, David, are you watching?
Yeah, I love to hear the stories about his custom figures and those clothing he get.
Alan, Daniel, anybody who is watching, you know who you are. Take the hashtags and try it. So that's enough of that. We can get into the stories. And, again, most collectors, they can look around and they got something. And I'm going to start right here. And I'm going to start with this Luke Skywalker, this poor, rickety, worn-out Luke, who's all faded and yellow and his limbs have had it. This Luke Skywalker right here, and you see his nose is even cut.
Oh,
so he's got a slice on his nose.
Oh, no.
Poor guy.
You gotta wait. You gotta put your hand behind it.
Oh, is he out of focus?
Yeah, here we go. Now we're in focus.
He's been through the mill, this poor thing. This is my original childhood Luke Skywalker. Okay? He is my first Star Wars action figure. He is my first, really technically official action figure, because anything even remotely action figure like that I had before this was Playmobil, which is this set down here. I actually have the set. I got this for Christmas in like 1976. Pristine condition here. It's not worth a lot, but I love it. But these are my first action figures. I don't even know who gave them to me, because they didn't really do Christmas and birthdays in my house. So that's another story. But I got this Luke. This is my first Luke Skywalker. And he is stolen. Yes, I stole him. I confess.
God.
I stole this Luke Skywalker. Well, really, the way it works is my mother used to send me to the Purity Supreme grocery store. The Purity Supreme was on Harvard Ave in Brookline. I used to live in Allston, Massachusetts. And this is a way to go for somebody who's like 6, 7 years old, actually. I wonder if she was trying to kill me, because it was like more than a mile away. It was across a 6-lane interchange that also had 2 trolley lines running through the middle of it to cross Harvard and Commonwealth. Pretty treacherous for somebody who's like 7 years old or whatever. And right before the Purity Supreme, there used to be like this garage. I don't know if it's still there or not. Purity Supreme's gone. I think they're completely bankrupt and gone by now. But there was a big parking lot with an automotive garage, and it was a crap ton of just derelict cars. And one of the cars that was on the sidewalk that I used to pass to go get the loaf of bread had this sitting on the dashboard next to another little jiggly figure or some kind of crap. I don't remember what it was. But this was sitting on the dash. So I would pass by to go get the bread, and I'd see him sitting on the dashboard. And I don't know how many times I had passed by, how many weeks, and seen him sitting there. And the window wasn't closed. It was like half open. Like I said, it was just, I don't know if it was a car they were working on or it was a car they repossessed or why it was sitting there. One day I just reached in there and grabbed him and carried this thing with me everywhere. I took it to school with me, kept it in my pocket, played with it at recess. I did everything with this Luke Skywalker. He had no saber, so I like stuck a nail into the little hole there so that he could have a sword. He could have his lightsaber, whatever I could do. But that is my childhood Luke, and that's how I got him. And I still have him. I still have him to this day, even though he's all like, he's had it. He's really had it. And I imagine there are things I could do to restore him, but I don't want to. I'm going to leave him just like that. So there you go. Life of crime, 7 years old. Anyways, as we move along. Now we're on this side of the room, and you see a bunch of Mattel Shogun Warriors Jumbo Machinders, and there's Mazinga. And I got all three versions of Mazinga. And this one in particular, I actually had this when I was a kid. And I had an affinity for these anyways because of Force 5, which played on Channel 25, the UHF station, where when I was growing up in the Boston area. And that's one of those shows that I had to try to rush home from school to watch. Because anybody have a show like that when they were growing up where, oh man, I got to get home as quick as I can to catch this? For me, it was Force 5, and then after Force 5, it was Star Blazers, which was on WLVI Channel 38. I think it was WLVI 56 or 38. I don't remember. I think that was 56, but it was on 38 was Star Blazers, but Force 5 was on Channel 25. And Force 5 was basically 5 different vintage anime shows that, or retro, I guess you could say, retro anime shows that would, every day of the week, it was a different show. And so I knew about these and never saw them in toy stores, but there was a place called Mr. Big Toyland on Moody Street in Waltham that I never got a chance to go to. I was never there. Always wanted to go because they advertised during Force 5. And they showed, not only did they have stuff like this, they had all the Japanese import stuff. They had stuff you couldn't find unless you went overseas. And they showed it in the commercials, and it's like, oh my God, look at this stuff that I'll never be able to get. But I had this because Kirk gave it to me. Kid who lived a couple blocks away gave me his Mazinga. It was stripped down. He didn't have the brain chip, and this is the third version. The brain chip's not designed to come out. This one is rooted in. You have to dig that sucker out. Had no brain chip, had like one rocket, didn't have the arm. He was missing the fist on the left side, the one that fires rockets. So he only had his right fist, one rocket, and nothing else. But I didn't care. It was free. Kirk gave it to me. Everybody hated Kirk. They used to call him Kirk Jerk the Firework. His sister used to call him that because he told crazy stories. I can't even get into it. He told like major lies and crazy stories. But I still made it work. And what I would do is, see these brain chips come out, and I could put your figure in there like this, and now he's piloting Mazinga. You see what you do? And then you just keep moving the rocket around and pretend it's firing from different places, I guess. Mm. And then you could also, because this is hollow, you could put another figure inside of his fist, and he could launch a fist, and the guy could fly out of there. Just using your imagination. But again, yeah, that was a childhood toy. And so naturally, this is something that I wanted to try to find when I got older. Now, next up, we're looking at the Mattel Space 1999 Eagle 1 playset. I never had this as a child. I wanted this as a child. I used to watch that show. I loved that show. And this is a nice example. It's not complete. Not everything is in here. The figures are in here, but the figures are kind of messed up. And that's a common problem. Fantastic sculpts on these figures, but they're really badly designed, so they fall apart. And I don't have but like the one helmet. And one of these days I'll find the other parts that are missing, and hopefully I can get that together. You know, I don't have the guns or whatever, but I've got this much. I've got the Eagle 1 playset. I got it not too long ago, and I'll explain that in a minute here. But essentially, the way the story goes, and this is what leads up to the second story. When I was a kid and I was going to school and I was in the first grade, on our bus, they did the Secret Santa thing. Which is always a bad idea. Secret Santa sucks, folks. I'm sorry. I've never had luck with Secret Santa. But I was the Secret Santa to another kid who lived down the street from me. Richard? I think his name was Richard. And he was in like the 5th grade. He was a lot older than I was. And I've been over his house a couple of times, or his apartment, whatever. And he got my name. He got my name, and I got the bus monitor's name. And I don't think like an adult should be part of a kid's Secret Santa, but whatever. I got the bus monitor's name. She got a piece of cake. He got my name, and he said, "Hey, I'll tell you what. You like that Eagle 1 playset thing that I have? That Eagle 1? I'll give it to you. You can have it." He never gave it to me. I'm sorry. His name was Brian. Now I remember. Lion Brian. Never gave it to me. I never got it. And then even when I became an adult collector, toys and action figures, I never did really get my hands on a near complete Eagle 1 playset. And they're hard to find complete. And especially nowadays that people are 3D printing missing parts and stuff like that. Someone who was watching that heard that story, Lee from Canada, thank you, Lee, sent me this. All the way from Canada, Canadian Post sent me this Eagle 1. He said, "Hey, I've got an extra Eagle 1. I'd like to send it to you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And you know, people say things and you take it with a grain of salt. He actually sent it to me. And I am just knocked out. I did an unboxing of that when I received it, because that was amazingly generous. And I love this thing. I love this thing. I always wanted one. Fan of the show. Love Jerry Anderson's work. And it's kind of funny how it's come full circle now. Brian never came through, and Lee did. Thank you again, Lee. Right, so now we're in the G.I. Joe corner. There's a lot that could be said in G.I. Joe. There's a ton of stories that could be here, but I may as well start with the one that started it all, which is the boxed adventure team Land Adventurer. Mint in the box. The box is a little rough, but he's mint in there, and there's a special significance to him. This is my first adult collectible toy that I bought at a aftermarket price in the late 80s. I purchased this on Brighton Avenue in Allston. There was a little toy store there. It was a small place. It wasn't even as big as this room. Vintage action figures and comic books, okay? And he's pretty much mint unplayed with. His little sticker has fallen off. It's in the bottom here. But otherwise, I mean, everything is here. He's the Kung Fu Grip, obviously. And I had been in that store, seen this, and wanted it. Because I had it when I was a kid for about a day. Another toy I was too young to remember, because keep in mind, this is going way back to like 1974, the Kung Fu Grip came out. So maybe I was 4 or 5 years old. I barely remember, but I remember having it. I don't remember who gave it to me or how I got it, but he was complete. But my mother, I don't like guns. I don't like war toys. So the only way you can keep him is to take everything off. So the sticker had to come off, the dog tag went away, the rifle went away. I was still happy to have the Kung Fu Grip G.I. Joe Land Adventurer like you saw in the commercials, and they would hold each other with the Kung Fu grip and they do karate flips and stuff like that. Oh, I mean, I wanted one of these so bad. And I went out with it and I played with it outside, did whatever I did, running around in the streets, probably too young to be out by myself. And that wasn't enough. She got upset that I still wanted it after everything was taken away, so she tore it to pieces. She snapped all of his limbs and broke him to bits. That's the kind of person she was. She was a pretty cruel person. So, flash all the way up to like 1989, going into that store just out of curiosity because, you know, I was just getting into comic books at that time, wanted to look in there and just see, and saw this, and I was like, shit, that's my Land Adventurer. How much is that? What can we do? So this is the figure that started me on the path to getting into collecting vintage action figures and toys. So we're back over by Star Wars again and looking at more of the 3 3/4 inch figures, the 1/18 scale, and the 4 that are in the plastic in particular, not the Dengar and these Hoth Rebel, but these 4: Bosk, Hoth, Han Solo, Death Star Droid, and Lando Calrissian. Okay? There's a long story behind these 4. And there's 3 other figures that should be here. I don't have them right now. I don't have them. Again, I had a big collection that was stolen many years ago, and there's certain things I haven't gotten back around to yet. It gets tough over time, you know, as things get more expensive and harder to find, and especially in the condition I'm looking for. So these 4 and those other 3, and I'll explain who they are here in a moment. It's about 1980, okay? Empire Strikes Back is out. My mother has this thing that she likes to do where she would take babysitting contracts from other people in the neighborhood, okay? Oh yeah, I'll watch your baby, I'll watch your infant, whatever. She didn't watch them, I did, okay? So little 8, 9-year-old David is the one babysitting, not Mama. She would take the contract, I get stuck with it. You know I hate babies, you made me take that contract, I don't understand what that means. Long story short, I would get stuck with the kids. Sooner or later, one of or both of the parents would figure this out and no more contract, which was also my fault, by the way, but no more contract when they figured out that I'm the one that was with their kid. That's not what they're paying for, right? One of the parents, the father, who figured this out, felt bad for me and gave me some money. Said, this one's for you. You take this, you go and buy yourself something nice. So I did. I went down the street to the Woolworth, which was on Harvard Ave, across from Glenville Avenue in Allston, Massachusetts. There was a Woolworth there. Who remembers Woolworth stores? So I went in there and I looked at their Star Wars figures, and they were all Empire Strikes Back cards, obviously, because the film was out. And it was in a glass case. It was in like a glass display case with a lock on it. So I guess they've been having shoplifting problems with the figures. And I sat there and sorted and sorted and sorted. How much money do I have? How much will this cost? Because, of course, it was 5 cents sales tax. I knew that. How many figures can I get and who do I want? So I pick out Bosk, Han Solo and Hoth gear, Death Star Droid, Lando Calrissian, Darth Vader, who I'm looking for a really nice, complete Darth Vader, and 2 Hoth Stormtroopers, because Vader should have at least 2 Stormtroopers with him, right? So 2 Hoth Stormtroopers, okay? I get them home. Where did these come from? What money? That's my money. These are my figures. Takes them away from me. I didn't even get to open them. All right? So, push ahead. We're 5, 6 months later. It's December. There's a Christmas gift for me. which is unusual because, again, birthday and Christmas didn't happen in my house. Christmas gift for me. Guess what's inside? Bosk, Han Solo, Death Star droid, Lando Calrissian, 2 Hoth stormtroopers, and Darth Vader. I got these for you because I know you like Star Wars. I guess I'm too dumb to remember where they came from. What do? You say thank you and you go on, unless you want to lose them again, right? So there you go. I didn't say all the stories were going to be nice ones. Could be any kind of story, happy story, sad story, funny story, whatever. But it's still an interesting story nevertheless. Okay, I think I'm over 5, aren't I? It's okay. 5's just a suggestion. Maybe if you're doing this, you have 1 item. Maybe you got 10. It's fine with me. I'm not going to hold it to you. Next up is Mad Magazine.
It is a glare.
Is there?
Oh, yeah, right.
Is that better? Mad Magazine, March 1984. March 1984. And you see what he's doing here. Mm-hmm. Which I'm sure everybody who saw this magazine has attempted this. And this is actually a gift from Johnny Future, who sent me a bundle of Mad Magazine some time ago. Thank you, Johnny. This one in particular really stands out. And the reason it stands out is because I remember having this one more so than any of the other Mad magazines or Cracked magazines that I had when I was a kid. And the reason it jumps out at me is because I remember when I bought it. And I was in junior high school, and of course it was March in Boston, cold and slush and wind and dismal and gray, okay? So I went to CVS on Commonwealth Avenue, and picked up this issue. And it was $1, cheap. So that's what it says, $1 cheap. It was $1.05, because of course you got your 5 cents tax. I didn't have enough money to go to the movies, so I bought this magazine instead, so that I would have something to do because I was playing hooky. Which I often did in junior high school because I hated going to school. I felt like it was pointless. I wasn't learning anything. All I did was fight with other kids. It was really kind of worthless for me to be there, in my opinion. I would rather buy a Mad magazine from CVS, go to the park, Ringer Park, and sit ankle deep in slush in like 20-degree weather and read this twice all the way through, than be in school. And that's why this one in particular really stands out for me. I just, when I saw this cover, I was like, holy crap, that one. It jumped out at me because it tied me right back to that day. And moving right along, LPH is laughing at me. Moving right along, I know I'm over 5. I'll do 1 more. I could probably do 20 more stories, but I'm sure we don't quite have that kind of time. And I'm sure some of you, hopefully, would like to do some stories of your own. Remember, please do copy the hashtags, tell people where you got the idea from, share the channel, and share your channel in the comment section when you do your video as well, so that people can see it down there. But anyway, I thought I would do 1 more because this one is kind of a stupid story. But you see this one little Garfield figurine right here, this little rubber figurine, it's a little hole in the bottom. I love Garfield, okay? I love the Peanuts, I love Garfield, I love a lot of those old newspaper comic strip characters that are fading away into obscurity. They're disappearing really forever because people don't even read newspapers anymore. But I used to really love Garfield. It was one of my favorites. And one day, I was going to the movies. A friend of mine from school, Tommy, had said, hey, how about I come to your house this weekend and we'll go see Empire Strikes Back. And I'm like, oh, that would be cool, but I don't have any money for a movie ticket. I can't do it. And he was like, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. And so, okay, you're going to pay for the movie? Sure, I'll go. So he came to the house, and we were walking up Harvard Avenue in Brookline because we're going to the C train because we needed to get to Cleveland Circle, is where the movie theater was. And there was a toy store there. I don't know if it's still there. It was called the Green Door. And it was a high-end toy store. It wasn't like the kind of, you know, KB or Toys R Us toy store. It was the kind of one where you have all learning toys in it and a lot of Playmobil sets and stuff like that. And they had a bunch of these kind of figurines. And, you know, we're just in there poking around on our way up to go to the trolley to get to the movie theater, right? And I'm looking at these, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a big Garfield fan. I'd get a few of these if I could. And when we left the store, Tommy gave me this one. Tommy gave me this one. Come to find that he stole it, and not only did he steal it, but he stole it by hiding it in his mouth. Thank you, Tommy. He had it hidden in his mouth. Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Tommy. I still got it, though. I took it. But that was just really weird. Oh, by the way, when we got to the movie theater, his idea of I'll take care of it was he was going to sneak us in because he didn't have any money either. Thanks, Tommy. We did manage to get in. We did manage to get into the movie theater. But holy crap, you know, not how I expected the day to go. But anyways, I'll go ahead and I'll wrap it up there. I hope you enjoyed the stories. I hope you have some stories of your own. Again, I called out a few people. I called out Toy Chic. I called out MIB Master Toy Museum. I called out Lou from Mego Like. I called out Pixel Dan. I called out Justice Curry. Did I call out Justice Curry?
No, you called out Motu Joe.
Justice Curry, are you watching? Maybe you'd like to do this. Motu Joe might have a few stories. Anyone else who's watching, she mentioned David Alexander, Alan from Comic Collector Geek, Daniel, anybody who's watching who thinks that this might be cool, might want to try it out, give it a shot. And please do share it. Share the video if you can. Remember to post your videos in the comment section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of this. We hope that you did. Share it again. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you're new. Check out some of our other content. Hopefully you enjoy the stories. And if that's it, then what more can we say but thanks for watching. And we will see you again soon.